Hi, my name is Deborah Sizer, and today we're going to be talking about comprehension strategies. The first mini lesson will be on the comprehension strategy, visualizing. Let's take a look at our objectives. The first objective is to define what is the comprehension strategy, visualizing. And the second objective is to provide an example of a way to teach visualizing, or more than one example, to teach visualizing in the classroom as a comprehension strategy. What is visualizing? Visualizing is when learners create a mental image from a text read, viewed, or heard. For example, I might say, "It's so hot in here. My oh my, I'm sweating up a storm. The sun is scorching my skin." Immediately, you're going to get a picture in your mind. Maybe it looks something like this. Or maybe it looks something like this. So learners create a mental image from a text read, viewed, or heard. Also, visualizing brings the text to life, engages the imagination, and uses all of the senses. For example, if I were to read this, "These temperatures are frigid. I'm sure happy I brought the right winter gear." You might have some images come to your mind. Think about what images came to your mind right away. Are you thinking about how it feels like to be very cold, to shiver in a frigid environment? Are you remembering your winter coat, the color of it, and the rough texture of your knit scarf, hat, and mittens? Visualizing brings the text to life, engages the imagination, and uses all of the senses. It helps students to really think about what they read, what it would be like to be there, who was involved in the story, what did it feel like, smell like, look like. How to get students to visualize while they read. One way you can do this is by asking the right questions. For example, you might ask students, what are the pictures you have in your head as you read and listen to this text? And they'll be thinking about what pictures are coming to their minds. Another question you can ask is, can you describe the picture or image you made while you read that part of the story? It might have been a story or passage about a visit to the doctor's office, and the student might have had a picture of a doctor in scrubs or in a doctor's coat, and with a mother and a child going into the doctor's office. And they might say, "There's a doctor wearing a green doctor outfit, and the little girl's mommy is carrying her close as they go inside." The student described the picture and image that they made in their head while they read the story. Another question you can ask, how did the pictures in your head help you to understand the text? For example, a student might say, "Well, I was able to think about what the characters looked like, where they were, and what they were doing." That's what visualizing helps students to do. You might recognize some of those things as story elements. Plot, setting, characters. That's why it's so important to visualize and make images in your head while you read, because it aids in the comprehension of the text. How to get students to visualize while they read. Number one, we said ask the right questions. Another one is just to practice, and I'm going to give you a few examples of how to practice. You can do these in guided practice, in modeling and demonstrating, as well as doing it together, and I'll show you a couple strategies there. You can also think about ways that students can practice these things independently. One idea is to do a think aloud, where the teacher talks about the pictures he or she is imagining after reading a portion of the text. So she might be reading, or he or she might be reading the text, and then they may pause and say, "When I was reading, I saw," and they would go on to say what pictures came to their mind as they read that part of the story. Another thing a teacher can do is read a book out loud and pause while reading to discuss and ask those right kinds of questions. Another thing you can do is have students close their eyes and focus on the images that come to their minds. As you can see here, the teacher had paused, asked some questions, and the students were able to respond. When I was reading, I saw such and such in my mind. Then here is a reminder that students can close their eyes and it'll help them to concentrate on what they're focusing on inside their mind as they read the text or listen to the text. Here's another activity for practice. It's called Sketch to Stretch. We're going to do this activity together. Here's what Sketch to Stretch is. As a passage or story is read, students sketch their visualization. In groups, they share their sketches and discuss reasons for their interpretation. So let's try it out. I'm going to read to you a portion of the story, Tornado by Betsy Byers. Then you're going to get a pencil and some paper and you're going to draw a picture or a visualization that comes to your mind as I read this portion of the story. Now, just to give you a little background, Tornado is a dog that comes to visit a young boy. He shows up at his house and the story is about all their little stories and adventures they had together. I'm going to go ahead and begin reading. Pause the video if you need to get your materials. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. I looked down at Tornado. "You want to play cards?" I asked. Tornado looked at me. His ears came forward as if he were interested. I held the cards so he could see them. His ears came forward some more. I shuffled the cards. Now his ears were almost over his eyes. "You want to play cards?" "Cards?" I held out the deck. He waited. I fanned out the deck. He waited. I could see he was ready, willing, and able. He had that look he got when I had a ball and he was waiting for me to throw it. Then I had an idea. I put one card out farther than the rest. "Pick a card, Tornado," I said. "Pick any card you want." Tornado took one step forward. He stretched out his neck. He took the card. He took the card. I remember to this day. It was the 3 of hearts. The dog was standing there with the 3 of hearts in his mouth. Tornado stood there. I sat there. And we waited. All right, so right now, some pictures have come to your mind. Right now, I want you to go ahead and pause the video, finish your visualization, talk about it in your groups, about why you drew what you drew, then come back to continue the lesson. Welcome back. I hope you had an opportunity to draw your picture as well as share your picture with the people in your groups. Some of you may have drawn a dog and a 3 of hearts. You may have put the 3 of hearts inside the dog's mouth, or you may have also drawn a little boy with a whole deck of cards in his hand. That is one exercise you can do to practice visualization. It's called Sketch to Stretch. Another activity for practice is a listening center. Students individually or in small groups listen to a recorded story. Then they draw a detailed picture of their favorite parts of the story. Oftentimes you may see a listening center in the primary levels in schools. So for example, let's say students are listening to the story, The 3 Little Pigs. And after the story, the students are supposed to pick their favorite part of the story. And you know that some kids are going to pick this part as their favorite, when the wolf goes down through the chimney and he gets in the hot boiling pot of water. And so the students are going to think about all the parts of the story and they're going to pick their favorite. Then they're going to draw the picture. They would draw the chimney and the fireplace. They would draw the pot with the boiling water and the wolf inside. And then students can discuss about why that's their favorite part on why they included these certain details in their picture to describe the story. All right, well, I hope you've gotten a good idea of what visualizing is and how to use it in your classroom. Let's go ahead and review our objectives for today and see if we were able to meet them. Number 1, define what is the comprehension strategy visualizing. Let's review the definition. It's when learners create a mental image from a text read, viewed, and heard. Another definition is visualizing brings the text to life, engages the imagination, and uses all of the senses. Our other objective was to provide an example of a way to teach visualizing in the classroom as a comprehension strategy. One way we can do that is by asking the right questions, demonstrating and practicing visualizing in the classroom. One way to do that is to use the sketch to stretch strategy. And another way to do that is to use a listening center and have students draw a picture as their response to the story or passage. Now today we looked at many activities to help students learn and practice the skill of visualizing. But it's important to remember that there are more activities that you can use to teach the skill of visualizing. I hope you share your ideas with one another and practice these teaching strategies to help your students comprehend text. Thank you for listening to this lesson today. I hope it was helpful.